so that was a kind of a big eye-opener for me, being like, is this going to be something I can do full-time now? Like, what does this mean for my business? Like, what does this mean for my passion?
Welcome on the Crochet Podcast, the podcast to learn everything about your favorite crochet creator. This week I had the pleasure to meet with Naomi, also known as CROUTON'S Crochet on social media. I find her so inspiring, and I think you will too. From her creative journey and how she took her crochet business to the next level, she will tell us everything. Hi Naomi, I'm so happy to have you on the Crochet Podcast. Finally, we managed to get this episode. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. I'm so excited to be here. I've been watching the last few episodes of your podcast and loving it, so I'm so excited to be a part of it.
Thank you so much. And it's the first episode of the year, so let's wish everybody like a happy new year, happy 2024.
Oh yeah, happy new year, everybody. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll be a good year for everybody.
Yeah, I believe you will. I trust this year like very much.
Yeah, I have a good feeling about it.
So Naomi, people know you as CROUTON'S Crochet on social media, but they don't really know you personally. So can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Naomi. I'm the owner of Croutons Crochet. I mainly am known for making food animals. I like to combine, I got some behind me. I don't know how well you can see with my chair, but I like to kind of make mashups between foods combined with animals. So that's sort of, I guess, my specialty area.
Why did you choose the name CROUTON'S Crochet for your social medias?
Yeah, so it's named after my dog, Crouton. It's actually kind of funny because for a long time I didn't have my name written in my bio anywhere, and so a lot of people assumed my name was Crouton. And so I still occasionally get people thinking that my name's Crouton, which I always think is funny. But no, it's named after my dog, and I basically went with that name because I wanted to make sure that whatever name I picked, I could use on a variety of platforms. Like it wasn't taken on, let's say, Etsy or Instagram, whatever, because I didn't know exactly where I'd be going with my business yet. And every time I thought I found a perfect name, I'd see it was taken somewhere. And so eventually I was just like petting my dog Crouton, trying to brainstorm names. And I was like, oh, of course, Crouton's Crochet. So that's
and it sounds so good when you say it.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's kind of just how it ended up happening.
And so you just decided to keep it.
Yeah.
I think that's great for SEO because it's like so unique, so as soon as someone type in Google like CROUTON'S Crochet, we find you right away.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it kind of helps with that as well because it's very specific.
Yes. So when did you start crocheting?
So I learned how to crochet in like spring, I think, of 2021. I was in school at the time, but everything was online with COVID and everything. And I just on my like Instagram, as I was scrolling, I started seeing videos of like amigurumi, and at that point I was really kind of getting into stuffed animals like squishmallows and things. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, I can make my own stuffed animals. Like it just seemed like the coolest thing to me. And I was also really into Animal Crossing at the time. And I stumbled upon Allison from the Wonder Crochet. At the time, she was making a bunch of different villagers. And I was like, oh my God, I could crochet my favorite villagers. I never ended up getting around to that because I was still way too beginner at that point. But either way, that was a big inspiration for me as well. So that's sort of what made me want to learn. And I honestly didn't know if I'd be able to because I've always been terrible with anything with my hands or like fine motor skills. Art like never has been my area of
never
expertise.
Been your thing?
Yeah, not at all. And so I did not really have high hopes for myself. But luckily, I kind of just kept pushing and kept trying until it sort of clicked. And so I'm very thankful that I kept up it and finally got the hang of it.
Did you have a phase when you start learning and it's so like ugly or whatever and you want to like give up, or did you like push?
Yeah, definitely. I remember the first thing I ever made was like a little crochet heart, or not a heart, sorry, a flower. And I don't know how long it took me to learn how to make that. I feel like at least an hour trying to understand how to do a slip stitch. Like, you know what I mean? Like, every little bit of it just was so hard for me to learn at first. But I think it did get easier sort of the more I did it. And definitely some of my earlier creations, I look back at them and I was like, ooh, those did not look too great. And
Yeah,
at the time, at the time I knew they didn't look great, but I still was proud when I that I made anything. I remember recently, I found a little like the second flower I ever made, which I'd given to my boyfriend, and I picked it up and I was like, oh my god, because I remember being so proud of that one, thinking it was so much better than the first one, and it was like the most wonky thing ever. So
I think we all had this moment, of realization. That was the same thing for my first teddy bear. I think I shipped it to my future husband, and I was so happy. I was so proud.
yeah.
And last time he gave it to me, and I was like, it's kind of scary,
Yeah, exactly. I know that feeling.
Well, that's great that you kept pushing, because today you have a very successful crochet page, crochet business. So I think everything was worth it. And when did you decide to make it a business? To write your patterns or?
Yeah, so I started like a few months after I'd been crocheting, and I was crocheting a lot because I instantly became obsessed with it. So I think almost every day, probably at that point, I was trying to crochet at least a little bit. So luckily, once I got past, some of those initial issues, it was like I kind of was able to increase my skill level like a bit easier just because I was doing it so much. And so after a couple months is when I first made my Instagram account, and I mainly just wanted to like show, off my work. And I had the dream kind of maybe selling some stuff in the future, but at that point I just was not ready for that yet. So it was mainly just wanting to show off my stuff. And then slowly from there, I started selling my stuffed animals, and I didn't even think I would ever go into making patterns. That was sort of something that came a bit later. Mainly the reason I ended up doing that was because, well, I started making my food animals, and so many people loved them and wanted the patterns. And my initial thought was always like, well, if I'm selling the pattern and not many people buy it, then if they're also selling now the same stuffed animals I'm making, am I just going to be kind of losing money because now people are buying from them instead of me? Like, I had sort of those worries, but really what sort of switched for me was I had a while, like I started getting some hand paint, and I realized like, okay, this is not the best, like I can't crochet endlessly every single day. You know what I mean? And so
yes,
I sort of made the decision that if I wanted to start, doing this as a business, and if I want to, make the people happy, then sort of expanding to patterns was like the great next step. And now it's like my absolute favorite thing. I honestly don't even sell that many finished plushies anymore. It's just, I love making things to make patterns because I think it's so fun seeing other people make my designs.
Yes. I totally understand how you felt like switching from wanting to sell to actually make patterns just to answer the demand, because if everybody was asking for your stuff, you were like, okay, let's share it to the world.
Yeah, exactly.
So you say when you learned crochet, you were at school. What did you study?
Social work. So I was doing, at that point, I was doing my bachelor's in social work. And then
Okay.
I think I was like, that would have probably been like near the end. I think maybe my second last year or last year, somewhere in there.
Okay. So did you graduate?
Yeah, so I graduated, and that's sort of actually why I ended up doing crochet, sort of trying to pursue it as like a full business, was because I graduated and my goal was always to immediately go into do my master's. And I thought I like did everything perfect for that. I had already, before I did that program, I did a specialized college program to work with victims of domestic violence. I I had almost a perfect GPA. I had all these things lined up, but I'm like, I'm sure, like, hopefully I get in. Like, that was my whole plan. And then I didn't get in. And so that was like devastating for me. And I really wanted, like, I was really just passionate about crochet at that time. So I was like, you know what, Naomi, you've been in school for so many years. Just take some time to do crochet. Don't worry about finding a job right away. Let's just focus on doing something you love for a bit. And then in the future, you can go back into, actually looking for work in the field. And then after a while, like, I kept pushing it. I kept being like, okay, I'm going to look for a job in like 2 months. And then I was like, okay, in another 2 months. And like, I just kept pushing it until finally I actually started seeing good enough results. And then I was like, okay, now I really do think it's worthwhile to not even keep trying to push it back, but just focus on this and see where it goes.
Oh wow, that's so inspiring actually.
Yeah, thank you.
So along the because you say like you were waiting to see results, and how long did it take you to have a decent living thanks to crochet?
Honestly, I would say I guess last year, 2023, was sort of when it really took off. Even by the beginning of the year, like I wasn't making nearly enough to have like a full-time income, but I
Mm-hmm.
just had I was growing at a decent rate and things were doing well. So I was just like, I gotta keep pushing through because I just have a feeling it's gonna get there. And
Yeah.
I would say, honestly, it wasn't probably till like halfway through like 2023, which is where I kind of was like, okay, for sure now by the end of the year, I think I'm gonna start making like an okay, like income that I could survive off of. So honestly, it's like definitely took a bit of time, but once I like started really committing to like, okay, I'm gonna take this seriously and putting a lot more effort into social media and all those things, I think then it kind of accelerated it and made it go a bit
Mm.
quicker.
Oh, okay. So today you can say that you live thanks to crochet, right?
Yeah, yeah, which is great.
Well,
It's honestly like a dream.
yes, yes. I always say that it's like a dream to live from your passion, from your hobby.
Mhm.
So you say it took a while to make money. What do you think was the most challenging part of making money?
So for me, I think one of the biggest issues that I had was like my hand pain. So I got really lucky that I don't know which year that would have been now. Probably I guess 2022. Near the beginning of it, I had made just these little like bee couples for Valentine's Day, and for whatever reason on Etsy they started doing really well. It wasn't even like due to my social media or anything. It just
Mm-hmm.
for some reason people kept finding it on there, and so I was making so many of these because I'm like, oh my gosh, I wasn't like making that many sales at the time, so I was like, I cannot lose this opportunity. So I was accepting as many orders as I possibly could, and then I think because of that, it led to like quite a bit of hand pain. And so once those were all done, I tried to like take some steps to like reduce how often I'm crocheting, but I still got hand
Mm.
pain, and it kind of ended up getting to a point where I was barely crocheting at all. Like I'd go days without crocheting. I'd only crochet for like 10 minutes before I'd be in pain. And so it kind of came to a head, and I spoke to my doctor who basically said I had developed tendinosis from just,
Okay.
the usage of my hands too much.
Oh
So
wow.
I had to basically stop crochet for like a month and do physiotherapy. And so that was a kind of a big eye opener for me, being like, is this going to be something I can do full time now? Like what
Mm.
does this mean for my business? Like what does this mean for my passion? So that
Okay.
was a very, I think, stressful time, definitely. And then I mean to this day I still get quite a bit of hand pain, which is why I try to focus on doing a lot of patterns and things, because I just like physically can't crochet, unfortunately, as much as a lot of other people, which is
Mm.
still disappointing. Like if I could I would crochet way more than I do now, but
I
it's
understand.
one of those things where, yeah, as long as like I just have to try my best to manage it and know that, like, be aware of my limits and know like it can be so much worse, so don't let it get bad again. So
Yes, yes.
yeah, that's honestly I think one of the biggest challenging things was just worrying about what that would mean for my business going forward when I couldn't
Yeah.
even crochet like almost at all.
It was like almost a sign, like to change direction or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm. So do you, because I know a lot of crocheters face this issue, to have pain. Is there is anything you do to avoid it or try to reduce it? I know, like you say, you don't you avoid crocheting too much, but is there is anything else like people can do, you think?
Yeah, definitely. I always recommend before you start doing hand and wrist stretches. So you could do basic ones like, just like this to stretch your wrists out. Um, and just like things like that, just to sort of loosen up your hands and take breaks while you're crocheting. Like don't crochet for, I don't know, 5 hours at a time. Try to take breaks every, I mean, it depends, each different for each person, but at least every hour try to like take even a 5 minute break to just do some stretching, get a sip of water, do whatever, but just so you're not constantly doing it. And
Okay.
then I'd say just listen to your body. I tried for so long to be like, how can I mask it or manage it in terms of like, I tried so many different like, compression gloves and braces, but while those things can help, if you're still pushing your body to do that thing, it's usually not going to be enough, right? So
Yeah.
if you're getting hand pain, take it seriously and just know that there's so much time to crochet. Don't feel like you have to do it all in one, sitting. It's not worth it to then possibly have much longer stretches that you can't because you've hurt your hands.
Well, thank you so much for this advice, because I know a lot of people deal with it. So so thank you so much. I think it will be helpful for sure. So in your Instagram bio, it says you make plushies, patterns, stickers, safety eyes. Sorry, can you tell me more a little bit about all these activities, because it seems like so wide.
Yeah, so I mean, I started with just selling like finished plushies, and like I mentioned, like it's a lot of a smaller part of my business now. I do love when I can, and if someone DMs me and they don't have like a specific time frame they need an order by, I usually will accept it. But I don't very often actively have like a bunch of stuffed animals available on my website, just because I usually just my hands just don't allow that too much. But that's where I started, and then because of the hand pains and things like that, that's when I really got into the patterns. And stickers was kind of another thing like that. Like I just thought it'd be so. First of all, I just thought it'd be really cool to have my things, my food animals turned into stickers, but also it ended up being really helpful because it was another way I can, make money off of my creations without having to do all that physical crocheting. So it was just a great addition. I don't do the art myself. I unfortunately have no drawing abilities, but I get make pie creations.
Sorry, I was about to ask you that about the stickers. Like, I was wondering if you like design them, or like do you ask someone else to make them?
Yeah, so I commissioned Make Pie Creations art. She's so great and talented. I think she does also a bunch of art for Inked Bunny and stuff. So, and she's great. If anyone's looking to make stickers, definitely check her out. So yeah, I'm so happy to work with her because she just is so good. Sometimes, because I don't do drawing myself, I'm really bad at explaining like what exactly I want, but she'll always figure it out. Like I'll sometimes have to tell her, I don't know what it is, but something about this thing is off, and she'll usually be able to figure it out and fix it. So she's definitely so amazing to work with.
You will give me your contact. I can put it in the description of the video.
Yeah, well, definitely.
Anyone is interested.
I think what's so fun about it is like, again, that was something I didn't think I could do because I can't really draw personally. So once I kind of realized that, I could get someone else to draw them, and then that kind of was like a aha moment, and it's so awesome because I still love seeing my stickers. They're one of my favorite things when they sell, just because every time I get to pack up the orders, I don't know, it's so fun.
Yes, yeah, it seems so funny. And also, you say you create like plushies, like literal plushies, and I saw that on your Instagram. I think it was 2 months ago you dropped your first plushie, right?
Yeah.
So can you tell me more about it?
Yeah. I was really worried about how the crochet community would react to that, because like the reason I decided to make it is it was for my taco source, because that is one that people are always asking if they can order. But it's like my crochet one's pretty big, and there's a lot of different parts to it. So it was one where it's like it was really hard for me to accept many orders for it, and I felt bad because so many people wanted it, and especially because of the time it takes, it was even like I could accept even less orders than if it was something smaller. So that's sort of what led me to think about that idea. And then it honestly, I went months back and forth because obviously it was quite a big commitment in terms of like, I mean, just time and decisions and also money. So that was something I thought on for a long time before I committed to it. But I'm so glad I did. And yeah, I was worried how the crochet community would react when it's something that's not crochet. Like, would people think I was sort of ditching crochet for something else, or I don't know, anything like that. And so I don't know. I was very worried how people would react. But at the end of the day, it was really because I love the designs they make, but I can't make enough for other people, especially that one. So that was sort of just the whole reason behind it, like, nothing else. So I got really lucky that I think people has given a good reaction to it. So I'm very happy about that because it was such a cool experience.
I was so surprised at the time I saw that. I was like, oh my God, this is such a genius idea. And I was super impressed by it because I was like,
Mhm.
how did she do all of that? It's like, it
Thank
seems
you.
like to
Yeah.
be another job, literally, to
Hmm.
do that. So how did it go? You had to, I'm just a little bit curious. Did you have to find a manufacturer and like
Hmm.
also a designer to make it 3D, right?
Yeah. So I reached out to, there's a creator. I guess I won't say her name because she probably doesn't want a bunch of people bombarding her asking.
Mm-hmm.
But
Of course.
there's a creator who makes manufactured plushies out of her art, and her and I had, okay, we followed each other and we would comment on each other's videos. So I decided to reach out to her and be like, hey, this is something I'm thinking about doing. Do you have any recommendations? And so she was great. She told me all about her manufacturer and gave me some advice. And so I ended up contacting her manufacturer, which made it a lot easier because I already knew it was from like someone who I trusted. So that really helped. And I talked to the manufacturer, work out all things like the ethics of it and things like that, because it's
Of
when
course,
you have
yeah.
like something manufactured, there's a bit of there can be some not so great working environment. So I was like asking for could I see a photo of the factory where they're being made and things like that. So I sort of started by doing those kinds of things, and then luckily they ended up agreeing to make the blueprint for me, because I basically um, when I told them about and I showed them photos of my crochet version. I was like, I want to make something like this, but obviously not crocheted. And he's like, okay, great. Do you have the blueprint? And I'm like, oh no, I don't. So I was
What
like,
is
I don't know
that?
how to make that. Yeah. So luckily he's like, don't worry, we'll have a designer make it. And the first draft, like
Mm.
I recently posted it on my Instagram story. It did not look quite right. So luckily then by that point I had worked with Megpad Creations to make um my taco dinosaur stickers. So I sort of sent them to be like, okay, here's a bit more of an idea. Does this help you, figure it out? And it did. So then when they sent me back um the new drawings, they did it looked a lot better. It still was a lot, like months of going back and forth with different samples, because there's like the first sample, just when he sent it to me, I was like, ooh, this is not what I want it to look
Yeah.
like at all. So it was so much back and forth, like trying to adjust little things until I was happy with it. So it ended up being great, but it was definitely a very long back and forth experience.
I totally understand. Did you have to pay for each sample every time they send you something?
So it was funny, when I was looking back at the emails a while ago, I realized that the initial thing that we agreed to is I would pay for like the one sample, but he would allow like two adjustments. So he'd send me photos, and if
Okay.
I didn't like something, I could fix it. I don't know how many. We probably went through like 5 or 6, and he didn't. I don't think he really charged me more for them. The
Oh.
final plushie ended up being more than I originally expected, just because I made so many different changes that made it take longer to make, because I wanted certain details and whatever. But luckily, I didn't have to pay. I know like a lot of manufacturers would make you pay for each one, so I got kind
Yeah.
of. I don't know if that was normal that he was willing to make that many, but it was very appreciated.
He wanted to keep you as a client. He knew you will go big, so he was like, I need to keep her.
Well, I'm glad he did. So.
So do you make them on demand, or like do you produce them and then like sell them?
Yeah, so I had to place. I get like I have to place like orders of them for different quantities. So the first time I ordered 50, and I was so worried. I was like, oh my gosh, what if they don't sell? And the first few videos I had posted about it didn't really do very well, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I have
What are
50 of
you
these
gonna
coming. What am
do?
I gonna do? I was like, how am I even gonna keep them in, like space wise? And then luckily I had one video that blew up and did well, and the rest of them sold out. And I was like, first of all, that was so exciting, but also I was like, thank gosh, because I was so worried. And so, but it's one of those things where, so now I placed a new order, which is going to arrive, I think, next week, hopefully. But this time I did 100, and so now I'm having the same thing again. I'm like, okay, but now I'm having even more, and I haven't sold them all. What about this time? So I tried to order enough that like I will have. So I gotta figure out where the heck I'm going to store them. But
Yes,
I definitely
that's
think
the
it'll take a
biggest
while to
issue.
sell through all these. But yeah, honestly, that is the
Well,
biggest issue. But yeah,
I'm sure
we'll
you will
see.
sell all of them, because I'm sure if you ordered 100 is because you know how much you sold the first time. So I'm sure you will sell them.
Thank you. Fingers crossed. If not, I'll just have a lot of stuffed animals around.
Yeah, you will just have to keep them and sleep with them all the
I
bed.
guess so, yeah. Yeah.
Do you plan to make more of your designs, or you will only have this one as a plushie?
I've gone back and forth. I'm not sure. Like, I think I would like to for another, like, I don't think it'll ever be my main thing. Like, I want crochet, like, crochet is my passion. That's what I want to do. But because I can't accept as many orders, it is something I've thought about for another, maybe just like one or two more of my most popular designs.
Yeah.
So that's something I've thought about doing this year, but I have no confirmed plans yet. So we'll see.
Okay,
Maybe.
you will see. So I think it's just super like interesting how you brought your crochet business to like another step, because I know it's always a, you know, like every business owner I think will understand like what is the next step for your business. So I think that's super inspiring that you did that, and thank you so much for sharing your experience.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's always scary doing something new.
Yeah.
So, I have some other plans of new things in the new year. I don't think I should announce them all yet, but I have some other stuff planned, hoping to expand in a couple different ways, which is always so fun. But yeah, it's definitely a stressful and scary experience because you don't know how it's gonna go.
You're always like, I know I launched like my hoodies last year, and I was always before I started I was like, how do I even start? Like sometimes you just don't even know where to start. So I totally understand the
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah, absolutely.
So your creation are a mix of animals and food. Where do you get all this inspiration from? Sorry.
No worries. I don't know, like I have a few different ways that I get inspiration. Now that I'm making them, I feel like literally all the time I'm just thinking of different things to combine. So that's part of it. I'd say like there's a couple main ways that sometimes they'll just come to me randomly and I'm like, oh, that's it. That's what I'm gonna make. But a lot of times I, will try to brainstorm ones. So I kind of have a few different ways to do it. One of them is like, can I think of a funny like pun name to combine? So like trying to think like I have like the Frenchie toast, which is like a French bulldog, and it's like a loaf of bread, right? So sometimes I try to do it honestly just based on the name, and then other times it's just like I try to think, okay, what is the shape of this animal's body, and what food is kind of shaped like that, and I just sort of try to do that to go there. I'd say, yeah, those are kind of the two main ways. And then sometimes, now that I'm kind of known for this, I'll have a friend or someone message me being like, I have an idea, could you make this? So sometimes I have friends and stuff try to give ideas as well. So
you receive from everyone.
Yeah.
So you will say your best seller, is it the dinosaur taco, or do you have another? Can you say the name again? I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Tacosaurus. So that's that's definitely my number one bestseller. Yeah, so I think that's the favorite. And my second one would be my shark shimi, which is the sushi shark. That one is pretty popular as well. So yeah, those ones people like a lot.
We put the pictures.
So which is great because honestly, those are two of my favorite ones that I've made as well. So it's nice that they get a lot of excitement around them.
Yeah, sometimes I have the feeling people can feel your excitement about a project.
Yeah, I definitely do, because there's been a few times when I've made one that I just don't like. It's just not, especially when I was, newer making them. There's a few I finished. I'm like, I just don't love this as much as I was hoping to. And usually if I can think of what's wrong with it, I'll fix it. But sometimes it was just like, I think the vision in my head just couldn't really come across the way, I thought it would. Because I can't like visualize things in my head. I don't know how to explain it, but like, so I kind of know what I'm making, but I also don't, like, I have no clue how it's going to fully turn out until I just actually physically do it. So sometimes I do have those things where it just doesn't translate well. And anytime I've like released one of those, I feel like they don't do as well. Probably just because, like, again, I'm not as excited about it. So there's some of my patterns, like the original ones, like at this point, like if I wasn't loving it, I just wouldn't release it. But originally I kind of was a bit more likely to still want to show it off, right? So
You're very present on social media. I stalked you a little bit. I know you're on Instagram, you're on TikTok. You have a YouTube as well.
I think that's basically all the ones I'm on right now.
And so, what is your favorite platform to post?
So for me, it's Instagram. I just feel like I have the best community on there. I mean, it is one that I have the most followers on, so I guess that makes sense a bit, but I just feel like I can connect a lot better.
Yeah.
Like, I do like TikTok, and honestly, if whichever, like, for just personal use, I probably end up going on TikTok more nowadays. But I just feel like, I don't know, it feels harder for me to connect with people on there. Like, on Instagram, there's so many, like, usernames I immediately know when they comment on my videos. I'm like, oh, I recognize you because you comment on a lot of my videos, and, you know, I just feel like it's so much easier for me to see and appreciate the individuals versus, I don't know why on TikTok it feels more just like harder for me to really connect the same way. So honestly, that's the main reason why I like Instagram the most, is just because I really feel like I can connect with my audience and my community the best.
Yeah, I totally understand that, because you know, like when you are on Instagram, people that comment a lot always appear first in your notification. And on TikTok, I felt the same way, that sometimes people, you know, comment all the time, but you don't see it more.
Exactly, yeah, totally. So it's so easy to miss stuff on there, yeah.
Yeah, and to miss like a nice comments and stuff, like I always feel I'm missing out on TikTok.
Yeah, no, I know. I just feel like in general, the engagement isn't as, I don't know, but I'm the same way, so.
It's just different. Do you think like social media in general are important if you want to have a successful business, crochet business?
I mean, for me, it is absolutely essential, and it's basically the whole reason I have a business. But I would say, like, if someone really hates the social media aspect of it, you know, things like trying to build your business through in-person markets, or even, I mean, you can have a successful just like online stuff with, you know, learning about, like, I don't know, search engine optimization and all those things to get your stuff pushed more. But for me, all that stuff is like, not as interesting to me. So for me, it's sort of like the biggest part of my business. Like, I say that the reason my business is as successful as it is because I consider the social media aspect to be almost just as important as the actual crochet, because that's literally how I'm building my business, right? So it's like, sure, your products have to be good, but if you're doing nothing to get them out there, how is anyone going to see them, right? So that's sort of why I think it's so essential.
Yeah.
And why I try to offer a lot more social media advice now on building a crochet business, and I offer social media audits for, you know, other crochet accounts, is because for me, it took me quite a while to get to that point where I understood social media the way I do now. And it's really hard to figure it all out. So I figured, like, you know what, I want to help other people grow their business, and I know how confusing and hard it can be at first. So anything I can do to help spread that information, I just feel like is a great benefit.
Yeah, that's such a cool idea to offer that. Like, can people, they just like contact you and you look at their social medias and stuff like that? Is it how it works?
Yeah, so basically I offer it on my website, and so people could buy them, and I'll basically go through, well, first, you know, find out like what goals they have, what if there's any specific areas they want to work on, and then I'll go through like their Instagram or whatever and give them like a ton of different advice in different areas, and they usually end up being pretty long. I think like now recently they're like, most of them that I'm making are like 13 plus pages, so like they're really in depth, because I feel like I have so much information I want to help people with, so I go really in depth with them. But I offer like just as much information as I can on like every single area. I usually try to give like personalized advice for like content ideas based on the sort of stuff that they make. Things like that.
And also, as you say, like very important to know their goal, because people can have different goals. So I think that's such a good idea. You just became like a counselor.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. That was something that I never really expected. I didn't actually expect to even like the social media aspect as much as I do, but it just sort of, as I started deciding to learn more about it and really commit to that, I don't know, I just started having so much fun with it that I'm like, I want to help share some of this with others, and hopefully other people can get over that initial like stress of it and have fun with content creating too.
And I feel also like he can also motivate people because he can be super discouraging. I remember being at 100 followers and be like, I keep gaining one follower or losing one follower, and it can be like so hard to keep pushing, you know.
Absolutely, and that's a huge reason why I do it as well, is just to help with giving the motivation to not give up, because again, everyone who has a ton of followers now also started with only a couple followers, right? So they started with 0 followers, I guess, but it took me a long time to even get like 100 followers, and then it got easier as I grew and as I learned more and things like that. But that initial stuff, it's really hard not to give up, and I think that's sort of the biggest thing I try to push with them, is like, just because you're not seeing instant results does not mean it's worth giving up on.
Yes.
Because it takes time, right? And it's a lot of learning. And I like recently had one person I did an audit for. She recently messaged me saying that she just got her first video that hit over 1 million views. So like stuff like that is so exciting. And sometimes people will share with me, they're like, oh my gosh, look, ever since I used your advice, this is like my engagement rates, it's going up, and stuff like that. Like, that makes me so excited, because people will come tell me that they were feeling really frustrated about their business, and now they have like that new motivation and hope again, which is like exactly what I want to do, because that makes me so happy, because I know how hard it is to push through those times and really try to get results. So I'm so glad I can help people with that.
So I know usually you make people pay, but what would be a free main advice you will give to people that try to grow their crochet business?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I try to give a ton of advice on my Instagram, and throughout the year, I'm hoping to really start more on YouTube, and I'm going to have quite a few videos on there, hopefully with a bunch more free advice. But I would say the main thing is to not give up and post reels and add text in them as hooks at the beginning to get people to stop scrolling within the first couple seconds of your video.
That's true, yeah. Well, thank you for this advice. Do you, I always ask creators this question, do you sometimes face mean comments or like negative comments in general on social media?
Absolutely. I think, unfortunately, if you're on social media long enough, almost anyone's going to get some. They used to, they still, it's hard to just completely ignore them, but they used to bother me, I think, a lot more at first.
Yeah.
I'm sort of at the mindset now that, I mean, obviously it depends on what the comment is, because sometimes they're just unnecessarily mean for no reason. Sometimes it's constructive criticism. There's a whole range of different kind of negative comments. For constructive criticism, I feel like a lot of times they still come across in like a kind of mean way. But I also try my hardest not to be too I try not to be too sensitive about it, because it's easy to get defensive, but I'm like, okay, are they really trying to suggest nice advice, or are they just trying to be mean about it, right?
Yeah.
So, because sometimes they don't mean to be mean, right? And it can be hurtful just because everyone, like, when it's your passion, it hits close to home, right?
Yeah.
But I'd say the general mean comments, I always try to tell people, if you start getting some of those, there's a good chance that you're doing something right, because once your videos start doing well is when you're most likely going to get those.
Yes.
I mean, obviously there's like justified reasons for negative comments, but the unnecessarily mean ones, there's a good chance that means you're having a video that's starting to do well and getting pushed out to new audiences, which is a good thing.
That's a good sign.
As hard as it can be, as hard as it can be, try your hardest not to let them get you down too much. Something I did a while ago was I felt like I was dwelling. I had a few videos that had gone viral, and I just felt like I was dwelling on a few negative comments, even though of course like there's like so many more positive comments opposed to those few negative ones. But so I even made a post a while ago, kind of just I screenshotted a bunch of negative comments that I thought something about them was kind of funny, or whatever it was, just silly or just so dramatic for no reason. And I made a post being like, which hate comment are you? And I gave them all like a funny name, and people like enjoyed that a lot, because at the end of the day, sometimes it's better just to laugh at it, because they're so silly. People yelling at you over a sticker.
Yeah.
You're like, in the grand scheme of things, it's like, really, is that how you're spending your time? So sometimes if you can, it's best to just laugh it off and try not to let it get you down too much.
Well, that's a very good idea. And do you answer to these people, or you just like, whatever?
Sometimes I don't. If I think there's like a benefit of it, like I've had ones where someone's like, it seems like they're misunderstanding it or they're trying to say something negative, so I try to like clarify something if I feel like there's a misunderstanding there, things like that. Usually I try not to, but I don't usually delete them unless obviously if it's something very offensive in terms of like, you know, like I've had a few times on viral videos where people will use like a slur or something, and I just obviously immediately delete those. Like I'm not having those sort of comments at all. Like those I have a zero tolerance for. But general ones, I don't delete it. I'm like, honestly, half the time people are going to start arguing in the comments, and that helps my engagement rate. So as long as nothing's too bad or like, making fun of other people or anything like that, I'm just like, okay, you guys can fight it out in the comments.
Yes,
so
yes. The comment section is always the funniest part of it.
Yeah.
What's always shocks me is like sometimes, like you have a mean comment, so you're like, okay, whatever, and you see people liking the mean comment, and for me that's always a must. It happens to me usually on YouTube, but like it's always shocking to me that people just like group together, like for me that's the most shocking part of it.
I agree 100%. That's honestly, sometimes that's worse than the comment itself. I'm like, wait, other people agree with that?
Yeah.
Like, and they're liking it? Yeah, so I totally, agree with that.
Like, one day I had someone that told me my accent was terrible, and I was like, okay, well, that's one person that thinks that. And then I saw that 20 people liked it, and I'm like, seriously, there is 20 people thinking my accent is terrible.
Jeez. That's so ridiculous. I think honestly, a lot of people are just trolls. You know what I mean? They're like, they see a mean comment, and they're like, "Ooh, yeah, like let's just dogpile on it." Yeah, people are ridiculous.
Well, yes, I think the biggest advice would be to laugh about it. Like, you are totally right.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
we just started the new year. I know there are some projects you want to keep secret, and I totally understand that. Is there one project or maybe something you are excited about for the new year?
Let me think. I don't know if I can. Okay, well, I'm gonna be announcing it soon, so I don't know if this is gonna go up. But I don't even have it in here. But I guess okay. So I guess it
will be. Let me see the calendar. So maybe you can announce it. On the 29th.
Okay, yeah, so it should be out by will it be out? Yeah, it should be out by then. So I guess I can say it, and I think you're gonna like it. So because you mentioned that you had like the Udi, and I think I'm known for wearing blanket hoodies in a lot of my videos.
Yes.
So I have finally I'm coming out with one with a bunch of my food animals all over it, and I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh!
I think I can go grab. Hold on, give me a second. I'll go grab it.
Show it to me.
Give me a second. So it is like so exciting.
Oh my gosh!
You can see it well here. So it's got all my food animals all over it.
It will go so
yeah, I
well.
absolutely love it. Thank you. I'm doing like a super limited amount of them because I don't know how well it's gonna do, but I really hope so because I think that's one of the things I'm known for. I'm always of the idea of being comfy.
Yes.
So I'm just so excited. It's been so hard for me not to already start wearing it in videos because I'm like, I have to take proper photos and figure out all those details and stuff, but I've been so tempted to wear it.
Oh my god, that's so exciting. That's such a good idea.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I'm so excited to I'll just throw it over there for now. So excited to finally show that off.
That's gonna be another side of your business, something else.
Yeah, I feel like I just keep coming up with new things, but hopefully as long as they do well, I think it's super fun to experiment different avenues. So
yes, and you are learning so much. Like I always think, no matter what, what the result of things is like you're just learning, and it's super important for a business owner to learning stuff and know how things work. So
definitely, I think that's one of the funnest parts about it is it's all new experiences to learn about, right?
Yeah.
And so it's really fun to see what ways you can expand and what you can learn from it.
Yeah, you are definitely expanding it. I think it's super inspiring.
Thank you.
So the hoodie blanket will be available already, like when the podcast come out. Can I put a link?
Yeah, it should be. It should be out. I haven't decided a specific date yet. I basically need to take photos, but the weather here has been not the best, so I'm trying to get nice lighting. But I'm hoping within the next week or two, so it definitely should be out by the time this airs.
That's perfect because it's still winter. People want to still be cozy, so it's such a great idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there anything else you want to talk about? Something maybe I forgot to talk about?
I don't think so. I think I'm so happy that with all the different topics we covered, I feel like we got to talk about so many different things, which is always so fun.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
But yeah, I can't think of anything else yet.
Well, thank you so much, Naomi, for being part of the Crochet Podcast. I have the feeling I've learned so much thanks to your episode. I hope our listener will also learn a bunch of things. You are super inspiring. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was a total honor to be on here. I got so excited when you asked me. So, yeah, thank you so much.
Of course. Well, thank you so much, Naomi. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Don't forget to leave a thumb up or 5 stars if you like this episode of the Crochet Podcast. It really helps, more than you think. And also, don't forget to follow CROUTON'S Crochet on all our platforms. She's amazing. Her content is absolutely entertaining. I see you very, very soon for a new episode of the Crochet Podcast. Bye bye and take care.